RB or not RB? That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the early rounds to select the bells and girlies of outrageous talent, or to take receivers who get a sea of targets, and by selecting them, lock down the receiver position once more. Hi. You caught me quoting from Shakespeare's famous Draft Day Manifesto. Bill was a big fantasy guy, and he faced the same dilemma before his fantasy draft way back in 1599 that we all do at the top of our fantasy drafts here in 2018. Do we load up on elite running backs, elite wide receivers, or get one of each? My opinion is, honestly, there's no wrong answer. But what I plan to do this year, at least, is make sure I get at least one running back with one of my first two picks, and maybe even two. Here's why. A highly drafted running back, more likely to not fall completely off the cliff than a wide receiver is, believe it or not. Wide receiver deeper this year as well. And you need to nail your first two picks if you want to win your league. Remember, your first two picks will, in theory, outside of kicker and defense, account for 31% of your weekly starting total. 31%. You got to get those two picks right. It is so crucial. And taking running backs minimizes risk. Over the last 5 years, 59% of running backs drafted in the top 20 at the position have finished the season inside the top 20. Whereas in the same time frame, just 49% of wide receivers drafted in the top 20 have finished there. Again, we're always playing the game of what's most likely to happen. So consider this. The current top tier of running backs is really young. Le'Veon Bell, practically the old man of the bunch at 26. The average age of first-round running backs this year is 24. And we've done studies. Younger backs provide even more continuity and return more fantasy value than older running backs. They stay healthier, et cetera, et cetera. As they say, football is a young man's game. So take it from this young man. All right, well, in comparison to him, right? Target running backs early in your draft this year. So the running back crop entering your draft this year has two distinct tiers and then a drop-off. As I've said before, that first group, Le'Veon Bell, Todd Gurley, David Johnson, Ezekiel Elliott, you get any of them, you got to set it and forget it. RB1, super stud, you're happy. And the next tier, frankly, you're going to be very happy with as well. Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara, Kareem Hunt. Any of those guys could easily finish as a top 5 fantasy running back this year and could even be RB1. I know a lot of people questioning Barkley being that high, but his amount of volume that he's going to get and a Pat Shurmur offense is very fantasy friendly. Remember, over 100 targets to running backs last year in Minnesota for Pat Shurmur. He's going to touch the ball a lot in a PPR format. And if you land Melvin Gordon, Leonard Fournette, Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Devontae Freeman, after that, you got yourself a solid RB1 as well. But for me, this year, you have to get at least one of those top 12 guys because look at the drop-off after that top 12. Look, there's certainly some good players there. I like Jerick McKinnon. You know I like Geis. There's some guys that could easily sneak up, but there's also some question marks there. One name that I think stands out there to you, considering his career as a top-tier fantasy running back, LeSean McCoy. Hey, could LeSean McCoy catch 80 passes this year in that Buffalo offense, run for 1,200 and finish as an RB1? Absolutely. He's going to be a volume monster. But he also just turned 30. There's an investigation to him in terms of off-the-field issues. That offensive line is missing a number of starters from last year. There's a lot of question marks around LeSean McCoy this year. And for me, for your RB1, you don't want a running back that has that wide a range of outcomes. Could be an RB1, could also fall off the cliff. At that point in your draft, I think you want somebody that has much more of a safe floor, much more upside, younger talent, and again, a higher floor. Obviously, McCoy has tremendous upside, but he also has a very low floor, meaning he could just fall off the cliff. The rest of the running backs, barring injury, and you can never predict injuries, the rest of the running backs all have a very high floor. And at that point in your draft, as we've talked about earlier, you got to nail those picks. 31% of your starting lineup outside of kicker and defense come from those first two picks. You need a rock-solid running back, and there's just too many questions around LeSean McCoy this year for me to feel comfortable with him as an RB1 in my starting lineup. After Saquon Barkley was selected with the number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft, no other running back came off the board until 25 picks later, when Rashad Penny went 27th overall to the Seattle Seahawks. Now, the gap between when Barkley goes in your fantasy draft and when the next rookie running back comes off the board might be even greater in your draft, but I think that would be a mistake. There's a ton of rookie running back talent this year that you should be eyeing early in your draft. Remember how much rookie running backs have contributed in fantasy in recent years. The last 3 seasons, 8 different rookie running backs have had top 10 fantasy finishes, with at least 2 top 10 running backs each year. There's potential for more than just Saquon Barkley to land there again. Ronald Jones is one of the guys with that potential. Doug Martin's muscle hamster cage was moved to Oakland, meaning all that stands in the way of Jones and the #1 job in Tampa Bay, Peyton Barber and Jacquizz Rodgers. Both are fine complementary pieces, but neither has proven to be a feature back. I believe that will be Ronald Jones in Tampa Bay this year. He's my running back 24. I'm even higher on Broncos rookie running back Royce Freeman. The loss of C.J. Anderson and Jamal Charles in Denver opens up 365 running back touches. I'm not a big Devontae Booker fan, so I'm going to go out here on a limb and predict that they don't mostly go to Royce Freeman. I don't think Devontae Booker can handle 365 carries. Expect heavy usage for Freeman this year. Remember, John Elway referred to him as a workhorse back.